Good evening, everybody. I am Kath Lloyd from Make the Change, and it's Wednesday evening at about 8 o'clock. I am a little bit late, I'm afraid, and it's Let's Talk. And tonight we're going to be talking about It's Your Choice. So, what are your choices? Okay, just a little question to get you started there, because we do have choices. And the reason I wanted to talk about this tonight is because there's been a lot of different things happening in the world. So there's in the news there's been talk of Boris Becker being bankrupt and forging some papers. There's the actor, black male American actor from NYPD, I think it is, who has been talking about how we should be fighting sexual harassment. And it was really quite interesting in the news. The dog's just joined us here. You can see his ears. All right, okay. You sit down then now. And, people apparently have been saying that he shouldn't be talking about this stuff, that it's vile, that it's disgusting. But, for example, that is his choice to talk about it, and that is their choice to feel the way that they feel about it. Okay, but to get back to perhaps, slightly different issues of why we're talking about this tonight. And, what makes us choose to think, feel, behave in the way that we do. And yes, it's down to our personalities, but also it's down to a lot of other things. So, for example, Joan, my dad, my dad decided not to open up about his transgender until he was in his 50s, because society had a lot to do with opening up, because society didn't agree with it, because a lot of people were being ridiculed, were classed as weird, obscene, being beaten up, and no equal opportunities for those people. But then Joan made a decision or a choice to make that change, and actually, she doesn't go back on that choice and hasn't. I'm trying to find the right word here. Doesn't regret that choice for 1 minute, because she knows she has made that right choice. Now, on the other end of the scale, perhaps it's about our risk-taking. Hi Liz, lovely to see you here. Our risk-taking, and, my son, his hobby was enduro mountain bike racing, and he knew what he was doing. He knew that it was a dangerous sport, and he made the choice to continue that sport. But that was about passion and love for the sport that made him do that. Okay, and on the and a slightly different issue, for example, is my sister, with great enthusiasm, with great determination, that actually, I know this might sound a bit of a weird way of thinking about it, actually made the decision to play the game, which ended in anorexia. But then on the other end of the scale, once she knew what she had to do and why, this is the important thing, why she had to get better, that enthusiasm and that determination made her so good at recovering from it. And so you can see, as a few of these examples, that our enthusiasm and our determination can work either way, whether it is in a positive way or whether it is in a negative way. And going back to, my son, his enthusiasm for life, his positivity in life has made him, so upbeat about his injuries. And when you look around, the spinal unit, there are people, he's 21, there are people in their 60s with half the injury that he's got, and with so much negativity, it's untrue. Whereas Pete is young, he's got a very fiery enthusiasm for life, which has made him successful in starting to live his new normal. Okay, so then I just want to have a look at my notes here because there's so much I wanted to talk about here. So is it about our own blooded mindedness? Is it about our enthusiasm, our determination for life? Is it about, on the other end of the scale, education or lack of education? And is it about our understanding of different issues and our willingness to be flexible about life? And all this, is determined, is about our personalities and about our whys in life. My other dog's just come to join me now. Okay, but the problem is there's a lot of interference, there's a lot of influences that are going to affect our decision making. So is it society, like my dad? Is it about medical research? Is it about our willingness to recover and overcome a hardship of some sort so that we can help ourselves? Because, all this is about self-help, isn't it? Help ourselves, improve our self-development, indulge ourselves in being a better person than perhaps what we were before. Part of my career has been in teaching, and and 15 years of it was in prison education. And I would see a lot of men in there in prison who were very, very determined people who were wanting to live life or live society correctly, or not going against society, you might say. But there's so much interference and influence from other people, and this is a really, really big issue, and that is what can make a difference to our purpose in life, our feelings around our purpose in life, which will interfere with how we want to program ourselves to live our life. Because this interference can be about peer pressure, it can be about finances, it can be about their lack of understanding of themselves, it can be about not knowing which way to turn when they're in trouble. It'll be about their support structure. And I found that the people or the prisoners that succeeded were the ones who had got a good support structure around them, as well as the passion. And it's finding the passion. I mean, one day, when I was at work in the prison, and I had a phone call, and it was from a young man's mother. And I sort of remembered him in the back of my mind, the image of his face, but I couldn't really remember his name, unfortunately. And she suddenly phoned up out of the blue, and he'd been released about 4 years. And she was wanting a certificate from a course that he had done. And she said to me that it was the art classes that he undertook with me and with the other education staff in the department that really supported him in making his way forward. So when he left jail, he went to art school or art college to continue the love of what he had started in jail. Now, you could say that if he'd never come to jail, he'd never found his love of art, and, to help him progress. But the point what I'm trying to make is that in the environment that he was in, we were able to give him the support that he needed. And at home, he had the support that he needed from his mother to continue where he'd left off by going back into the community and continuing his education and progressing through life. And unless she hadn't have phoned, I would never have known that. So, that is a really important story about your support network, whether it is, a financial support you need, emotional support, physical support. We all need support to help us maintain or change the way that we're feeling. So Joan, for example, her support for finally, coming out and voicing her desire to be somebody different, had not only come from the change in society, even though 31 years ago, it still is very different today. And I was chatting with a chap today, and his daughter has got 2 friends going through transgender. So it just goes to show the difference that society can make. And actually, I taught with a chap who is a very strong Muslim, and I think he was born in this country, but he said, what I love about Britain is the flexibility of us as a country, as a nation, us as, people, which he hadn't seen in a lot of other countries. So, we hear a lot of negativity on the news and in the social media, but when when I'm feeling as if there's a lot of negativity in the world, and perhaps as a country we're not behaving the right way, I always go back to what he said to me, because he is somebody who's seen a lot of other countries, seen how his parents were brought up, and it's really heartwarming to feel that. I feel as if I'm going off track a little bit here, but hey, never mind. But it's still about choice, isn't it? And living and being who that you want to be. Yes, we go off track. Yes, my sister went off track, with her anorexia, but she got herself back on track because she had got her determination, she had got her enthusiasm for life and wanting to succeed, but also she got the right support network. At the time when she was poorly, she didn't appreciate that support network from our parents, but she got good support at school, and in actually the determination and the enthusiasm that my parents or our parents gave her to get better, even though there were a lot of rows and a lot of arguments at the time, it helped her see. It helped her see what she had to do to make things different. And I'm not saying it was easy, because, my sister says it probably took her 10 years to recover. Now, to spend 10 years in recovery, that is a lot of guts, that's a lot of enthusiasm, that's a lot of determination that she has had to drag up out of the depths of herself to be able to succeed in a healthy recovery. And thankfully she is healthy and still in great recovery. And sometimes we need a different habit, we perhaps need a different crutch to keep us going, but it's finding a healthy crutch. And this is where lifestyle makes a difference, and our lifestyle is our choice. So in the evening, Do you go for the bottle of alcohol or do you go for another cup of tea? You know, do you go for a packet of crisps or do you go for some watermelon? Do you sit on the sofa and become sedentary, or do you be active and make a purposeful decision to go out and do something different? Do you not follow your dreams, or do you say where you are and perhaps decline into something that you don't want to be? All of these are choices, and all of them take guts to get to what you really want to be. But it's about making that choice. What are you wanting to achieve at the end of the day? Do you want to stay as you are, or do you want something different? But if you want something different, you've got to take some form of action to get that difference. And again, it all takes guts. It all takes the right choice, even though you might not find it at the moment. But give it time, and as long as you think about it and reflect on what it is that you've got at the moment, what it is that you want, what is it that you're feeling, what is it that you don't want anymore, then eventually you will find that answer. But it's about working through it. And often, unfortunately, it's about working through a lot of stuff that perhaps you've buried for a long, long time. So, my dad, for example, he was able to bury those feelings in getting married, building a home, having children, having a career. But then eventually all those feelings do come to the surface. And at the age of 50, that is when my dad had to start making a big decision. Was he going to stay as a male, or was he going to transition into being the person that he really, truly knew he needed to be, from the age of 5? But he took the courage. And, it is courage that we need to make change. Somebody posted a while back, what is bravery? Is it somebody that goes out and fights for their country in Afghanistan, or Syria? Or is it somebody who, has a sex change? And I replied that they both take courage, but it's about different sorts of courage. Astronauts, for example, they are amazing people. They've got great courage and bravery to go off into space, but they also know the risk, that it's a very, very high risk. So it's choices. That is about choice. It's about passion. And where's your passion? Is your passion to be feeling and thinking in a different way? Is it your passion to behave in a different way that might feel alien at first, but the more you do it, the easier it will become and the happier you will become? Yeah, there's going to be setbacks, but there's setbacks to everything, but it's finding your way so that you can be you, because that's what life is about. It's about you being you and true to yourself to succeed. I think I've talked about everything at the moment, but I've got my book When Dad Became Joan, and I talk in this book openly about the choices that I made that made it so difficult for me to come to terms. And next Wednesday morning I'll be on colourfulradio.com talking at 11 o'clock about my book, about transgender, about the choices that we make. And, that's online radio, and you'll find that at colourfulradio.com. And I will post something up about it. I will post the link up for you. But it'd be great if you could listen in. And then I will be joining you in the evening at 8 p.m. for Let's Talk. So have a great evening, enjoy the sunshine, and I will speak to you next week. Bye bye now.